Hey, middle-aged gamers. That was too many O's to start off today's podcast. Lots of stuff going on as well. Antoine is back and sounding healthy as ever. So to start off today's show, he has to go first and tell us about what's going on with Ubisoft.
Absolutely. So that's a news which I found quite interesting today. So I'm going to start with Philippe Tremblay, which sounds very Quebecois, so I guess he's a guy from here. Ubisoft director of subscription suggests that gamers need to get comfortable not owning their games. So when I saw these titles, I was like, oh, like a kind of a boomer. I like my game. I like to own my game. And considering it's $80 to $90, I like to own them. And then, well, it started to make sense, right? Ubisoft, as I'm not using their subscription offer, but they announced that they are rebranding it and reworking it. They used to be Ubisoft Plus subscription, Ubisoft Plus multi access and PC access. That's the old offer. And today, so the 16th of January, they announced that this is going to be rebranded as Ubisoft Plus Premium Services. So they are launching two services. The old one has been rebranding, just a new name, but what's going to include in this premium content? It's a day one. So imagine that Xbox Game Pass, I imagine Ultimate. Day one access to new release in some cases like Prince of Persia, that's what they mentioned. Prince of Persia's Lost Crown, which I believe was a January game. Early access to upcoming new release, the top of all their Ubisoft catalog, so you can get all of their existing games, and you'll have access to premium editions, DLC, and monthly rewards. And with this, they're creating, which didn't exist, creating a new subscriptions, which is Ubisoft Plus Classics. So classic, just when I was saying that it's on par with Xbox Ultimate, the first subscription package is 17.99 USD a month. That's quite pricey, right? Second one is 7.99, so 8 USD. I put my note all over the place, which is why I'm jumping back and forth. No worries. Ubisoft Classics, so it's a curated selection of our most popular back catalog games, including Far Cry 6, Rainbow Six Siege, Watch Dogs, Legion. So you have access to their library for $8 USD. I feel like that's what most people are gonna take if you are taking Ubisoft. Because if you start doing the same as you're doing with TV, right? If you have a Netflix, Disney Channel, or something, it start to add up, right? Same here. Now you're gonna have Xbox Game Pass. Now you have Ubisoft. First subscription, the premium one, it will be available on PC, Xbox Series X, and Amazon Luna. For the classics, it's available on PC and I haven't played PlayStation in a while, so PS Plus Extra and PS Plus Premium membership. I don't know if it makes sense for you, but that's something that will be including there. And to put a cherry on top, because that's not something people really know or maybe realized, but you all remember, right, when Microsoft bought Blizzard Activision, the whole thing that happened? There was some negotiation. And part of the negotiation is that our friend of Ubisoft, they acquired some exclusive rights to some Blizzard title. So they will have some Blizzard library as part of this new offer. So we'll see which games or which title, because to be honest, I don't know, but maybe the Warcraft 1, 2, 3 series or things like this. Could be interesting to see. But yeah, that's basically the future of Ubisoft, or the game strategy. And that makes sense because you see what happened on TV right now, and it's very logical that it happens with games. And I, as a 40 years old guy, would have said, yeah, no, I like to have my CD, my disc. Most of the games I'm playing are on Game Pass, and I don't own them because I'm paying a subscription, $10 a month. And I know that when it quits the library, I won't have access to them anymore. I don't care, I already played them because they stay on for quite a while. So that's pretty good, and that's my story. So the future of Ubisoft, which I found was quite interesting, and they are strategically positioning their company for the future of gaming, and I actually think it's a quite intelligent decision. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Adam.
I don't like it, but I mean, it makes a lot of sense. The guy's right. I see the here in the comments we have Noble Cooper. Funny, I can't add parts to my car, change the tires, but I can't mod games with Ubisoft, and that is basically going to be once we get into like game streaming and things like that. Things like modding are going to be out the window. You can't do that with a streaming game like you can when you personally have a game. And yeah, when you get to the point where it's we don't even own games, yeah, Antoine said it's going to the whole point of getting away from cable to getting something like Netflix was like, hey, this is cheaper than cable. You're paying for it. You don't have to worry about advertising. You're saving money. And then there's obviously the convenience of being able to watch what you want when you want. You don't have to wait for something to come on at 6 o'clock, and you don't need a TV guide to know when to catch your shows. And basically, that's the only advantage they have now because everything's spread across so many different things. You're spending as much as you were on cable, or you're going through the inconvenience of constantly renewing and canceling different subscriptions. So you're only paying for one at a time. And yeah, this is going to be after a while, it's like the whole thing with the games as a service model, like with Apex. You can pay. We used to be paying, or people would complain about even paying $70 for a game. These games, if you want the content in them, you can easily spend more than $70 on a game now than you used to. And with something like this, they're going to add up where you're probably going to be paying if you're not paying attention and constantly like saying, okay, now I'm going to subscribe for the Ubisoft, and okay, now I'm going to cancel that, and I'm going to resubscribe to this other one. I could see where it could get to a point where it's going to be very easily be more expensive than like you're spending more on gaming than you used to be when you would buy one new game every X amount of time, where you're refreshing these prices every month or so. But we've seen it with Netflix and things like that. Like it or not, yeah, I think that's the direction it's going. And I think it was a little bit tone deaf the way he worded it, but he's not wrong.
No, but I want to say yes and no, because since I started Xbox Game Pass, I saved a lot of money, right? I'm only paying $10 a month and I've played six, seven, maybe eight games, which would be not all triple A's, okay? So maybe some would have costed 20 to $30, but still, one $30 on a $10 subscription, that's 3 months subscription. I already paid 2 years of subscription just for the games I played. And one of the script I was working on this weekend for Suicide Squad, it's $90 game. It's not even a premium or a collector or whatever. No, no, base game, $90. Oh, for a live service, I was like, yeah, that's steep. You'll see in the video if it comes out that they had some production troubles which may reflect in the price. Maybe that's why. But if all games are $90, I can understand why you would go to a subscription based service, because $90, you want one game at $90, 9 months of subscription playing whatever you want, whenever you want. The only issue I have would be in a bigger game like Starfield, for instance. The performance on the Game Pass is much poorer than if you buy it on Steam and install it on your computer. I don't know if it's a problem with the platform, or shouldn't be a problem with the PC, because my PC is fairly new. So yeah, my choice is done. It's made.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like early day Netflix, right? When it was just Netflix, then yeah, of course it was cheaper. But then you start getting competitor models. Like if we get Ubisoft, right? What happens if Square Enix starts saying, "Hey, let's jump in on this bandwagon too," and then you have the Square Enix, and then like Disney used to they pulled their content from other providers so they could open their own streaming service. What happens when Ubisoft is saying, "Hey, why are we putting this on Xbox and PlayStation, their things? Why don't we just do it ourselves?" And then Square Enix jumps in and they pull their stuff off, and then yeah, I worry about the slippery slope just because we've already seen it with TV streaming. So I do worry that it will
True,
move in that.
true. Yeah, but the difference that TV streaming, Netflix invented it and was big for a while, but it's hard to get in there. Look at Paramount; they are trying, but they have a hard time getting space in there. Here they're starting it, but Microsoft is a very well-established brand with a massive library. I'm curious to see how Ubisoft is gonna do that against this big competitor. It's good that they are changing their subscription model. Will it work? Because I don't see you take Ubisoft and not Game Pass. So it's Game Pass and Ubisoft, or just Game Pass but just Ubisoft.
No, I don't think anybody
But
would
they
go
do have
just
a lot of,
Ubisoft. But that's what I'm worried about is
unless you
like
really
Game Pass
want to.
and Ubisoft. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, yeah. Do you really want to do all the Assassin's Creed again?
I
Uh,
don't know. I've watched The Office twice.
and I'm gonna stop talking because it's already way too long as a story, and Korean's gonna get mad at me.
Yes, we should have stopped 5 minutes ago. 9 stories, gents. 9 stories. Please. All
Nine
right.
stories in
Adam,
90
second
minutes.
story.
I guess that's going to be my first story, huh? Okay, so for my first story, we're going to be talking about Persona 3. So we got some new news. They did an interview with, I believe it was Screen Rant or Kotaku. I don't remember exactly who did it. But they did an interview with one of the developers of Persona 3 Reload, and they were talking about some changes that they've made from the original game. In the original Persona 3, it was obviously on older systems. And this was two personas back. They've learned things with each iteration. So there are things that were successful in 4, there are things that were successful in, and now they're like, okay, it might be hard for older play or these newer players to go back and play an older game with the older mechanics. So what they've done is they've added some things, but they were saying that they had to play a very fine line, because if, for instance, you go the Final Fantasy VII remake route and you start changing story beats and things like that, you can get a lot of backlash, and it can cause a lot of troubles within the community. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to keep it true to Persona 3, but adapt it in such a way that it is accessible to newer players. So one of the things that they mentioned was this system, I believe they call it 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙦. And if you've played Persona 5, what a showtime is, that is when you can, if you get a one more on every enemy, so every enemy is down, then you get this showtime attack, which is like this big attack. And what they were saying here is this 𝙎𝙪𝙥 system is similar to that, but what it is because in Persona, unlike Persona 5, where it's all about a team working together, it's more about the individual and it's less about the group. So, of course, they're working in a group, but it's more about each individual person's journey through Tartarus or whatnot. So, what they're going to do is they have this new 𝙎𝙪𝙥 system, which kind of replaces the Showtime system, but each character has their own conditions to reach it. So by doing that, they're hoping that it's going to allow the characters to shine more as individuals, and because you need to do this conditions for this character to get this special effect or whatnot. So they're adding things like that. The overall story, they're saying, is basically the same. They've been making small tweaks. They say basically they made small tweaks over time. So of course it'll have a significant difference, but nothing. There's no one major change. And yeah, and so they're going to do that. And then one of the other things that they said is that in Persona 3 Portable, I believe it is, they have a female protagonist. And there were actually story changes for the female protagonist. They could get to know certain characters in ways that the male protagonist could not. And so, of course, now that they're limiting you to the male protagonist, a lot of people are worried that we're going to be locked out of these extra stories that we once had, but they're actually adding those back in so you can still access them. These were not romance options, but these were just you get to know these people better. And so they're going to be adding those back in. And now you can, they're not going to be the social links or whatever, but they do have it so you can still get to know these characters and see their stories. They're still going to be accessible. And the last bit of Persona news is actually not about Persona 3 Reload, but Persona 5 The Phantom X. And it looks like they may be taking it outside of China. So originally that was the mobile game that was taking place within kind of the same world as Persona 5. And now it was a China only mobile game, but it looks like they are going to be bringing it outside of China. I believe it was the Korean Twitter where they were talking to Sega about that. But yeah, so if you have been missing out on that and you really were curious, it looks like you might get a chance to take a look at it. So
Go ahead, Antoine.
Considering Chinese policy these days, I'm not surprised we are trying to make money somewhere else. And for for Persona 3, I'm sure Korean is gonna agree that rework the control for newer gameplay is a must. Because I tried not too long ago Dragon's Dogma. It was great, love the game, but the control were heavy as hell, and you have to go through. I tried some other game, I can't remember. Same. I like the story, but the gameplay was so heavy and dated. I was like, ugh, I just can't go through. And I'm sure we talked about it with Korean before, and Seiku's the same. If it's just too old, it's just too hard to get back in it.
yeah, I remember playing the dot hack
You're leaving me.
EU, and it was
Let me hanging.
Korean didn't say anything. Yeah,
I've never played Persona, and then Dragon's Dogma is
I don't mean
obviously
in
a
general.
thumbs down for me.
In general, right? It's hard to play now on all the game's mechanics, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. That I totally maybe I agree with. I can't think of any older game that I played recently, or even in the last few years that I liked. No, yeah, I don't play older games anymore. It's just go down the newer game backlog first. Go ahead,
yeah.
Adam.
No, I was just gonna say, playing the .hat.GU games, I really enjoyed it. I thought the story was great, but yeah, there were times where it's, man, this is like one button for attack, and this is just so basic. I could get grinding for a bit, but yeah, there was another game that I'm trying to remember what it was like, but yeah, a similar kind of thing where you're like, oh, newer iterations have just built on this and done better. For example, I remember playing Dragon's Dogma and the original one, and your stamina applies to everything. So if you're running across the map, you run, rest. And a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, this is so tedious." But now a lot of games that do still do stamina bars, they say, "Okay, stamina only in combat." And that's just a quality of life improvement. So, yeah,
I modded this in Dragon Dogma.
you
That
modded it.
was one. Oh yeah, that was one of the most popular download on Nexus.
As
No
well.
stamina, no weight limit.
Oh, okay, yeah, like back then, these were really standard things. It's everybody's solution to it, and now it's, oh no, wait, why were we doing it that way ever? That was a horrible way to do it.
Ah, Starfield weight limit. That's horrible.
All right, moving on. My first story today is something, again, trending on Google, and I'm not sure why, because I remember seeing this on Kickstarter. It's called the Alchemy RPG system. And at first I thought, I was like, what is Alchemy RPG? Is this a game that came out that I didn't know about? But no, it is a tabletop digital RPG system. So if you're familiar with that YouTube series Critical Role, or there's a bunch of different systems out there. Like I know a former teacher, well, still a teacher, but we used to work together, not at the place Adam and I worked together at another place. And he played this, I think he played like a Pathfinder version of this, which is another RPG system, but he played it and the graphics looked so bad, but it was him and his friends in different parts of the world because he's also from the States. And they used to have this weekly game, and it looked like fun if you have a really good imagination and if you're a geek who's able to sit down and do this stuff and talk to friends and someone be a dungeon master and prepare all of this and what do you do here. And Alchemy takes this to a whole new level in the sense of it creates everything. Like I've seen, if you've watched The Big Bang Theory, they had a soundboard for stuff, right? Where when there was a dragon and there was like music and stuff. And that's pretty much what Alchemy is, a digital RPG system where if you're a dungeon master, you can program all the sounds and have all the moving sets. And you can, if you're an artist, you can sell assets on the Alchemy store and someone can download it and use that in their game. So it's definitely very much for people like me, for Adam. I don't know if Antoine plays games with people in France anymore. No, not really.
I used to play FF14 with my girl, but I stopped it a while ago.
So yeah, like I still play with my brothers. Adam still plays with his high school friends, college friends.
High school friends, yeah.
High school, I can never remember which one it was. Right. So it's definitely a system for people who are playing games with people in disparate parts of the world. And again, it raised money on Kickstarter. It did pretty well. And now it's also already out, right? They raised 740,000 US dollars, right? That's pretty impressive. Lots of assets, lots of ways to play a game. And it's something I've always wanted to try. My younger brother did this in South Africa last year or 2 years ago. He was doing this, and it was on my goal before I became too busy, and too busy as the only things I can think of. But yeah, if you are playing some sort of D&D session, and it doesn't have to be Dungeons and Dragons, they have a whole load of support for there's so many different systems now because this became so popular. And you want to do something online, you want to do something that looks really good and could be like a potential online thing where you do this with friends and become famous, and because people can join your chats and there's like video chat and stuff, and it becomes very interactive, and it could be some way for you to generate money as a content creator since AI is obviously taking over the world. But yeah, let me know what you think. Are you using this system because it is out and you can start using it and you can start playing it? What do you think? Send us a video. Let us know what you think. All right.
Never
Any
used
thoughts,
it, but it looks
comments?
interesting.
Yeah, it looks
No, yeah, I've never
interesting.
used it, but it looks interesting, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it does.
Then let's motor on. Antoine, story number 2.
All right, so let's take my notes because this is a game I have seen streaming a lot, but I've never played myself. It's a Sea of Thieves season 11, which arrives on January 23rd. So Sea of Thieves is a kind of sandbox pirate game, which is really cool. When I watch the streams, it's always great. That only the two main critics about this game is there's no one on the servers, so it's quite rare to have an encounter because it's a PvP game, right? You find another boat on the water, you duke it out. because the servers are empty, usually you do your quest by yourself with your crew and your friend, of course. And the second is lack of content, apparently, because you need to follow a quest and a tale to enjoy the game. But it's apparently the previous seasons didn't bring much content. So the game was dying, so what I saw on Reddit and things like this. But on this season, they went all in and they revamped everything. So first of all, they took three steps. First steps, and one of the core gameplay, because it's a pirate simulation, is that you go on your boat with your two or three friends, and one man the cannon, one man the sails, one fix the boat if you are being attacked by other players or a kraken or whatever. Here, you can fast travel. You can take your boat, dive underwater, and arrive at the island of your choice, of your destination, which is pretty fun, but skips the whole gameplay of using your boat to go to an island. So, to avoid people just fast traveling all the time, if you have loot inside your boat, so you did your tail, you have lots of loot box inside of a treasure chest in your boat, you fast travel again, you lose everything. So now the gameplay is that if you find a boat on the sea, basically that means that either they are role playing because they don't like fast travel, or they are loaded and they get attacked. So you find a boat on the sea, you attack. That's one of the first thing, which I found pretty fun. The second one is they have a new quest menu. Because from what I recall, it's not bare bones, but it's not really user friendly. The new quest menu features a discovery tab where players are suggested quests and voyages based on their progression. So now they don't take your hand, right? But they tell you, hey, you finish this, we advise you to do this or this, which is pretty cool. And the third one, so I actually in my stream I never saw that, so you may tell me more about this, but that's about trading companies. In this menu, you can also hold all voyages for trading companies, which have been rebalanced and outfitted with loot, which are exclusive to this gameplay. On top of this, of course, you will have new skins, new apparel, and weaponry. And yeah, so overall, the new seasons offer more controlled content and rewards with another 100 new level of unlockable items. So apparently, they realize that we can't keep doing all the same, otherwise our game will die. Let's go all in, and they really talk about. There's a kind of a 7 minutes video which is pretty cool, and they really talk about complete overall of the system of the menu, and it seems fine. So if the servers refill with new people with this season, that could be some interesting game to do with your friends. And that's it. Did you ever play that or want to play this if you play with your friends?
I would love to play this with my friends, but none of us have Xboxes, and I think I'm probably the only one that has a PC that's semi decent.
Ah, yeah, because that's a PC game as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was surprised as you're talking about Sea of Thieves. I was like, I thought Sea of Thieves was one of those dying games, but I just looked it up. As of 36 minutes ago, it's 8,377 players on Steam.
Yeah, no. It's pretty. It's fun because the boats are cool. The water is quite pretty. The graphics are pretty nice. It's not a new game, and no, it's a game which has character. It's not the Pirates of Caribbean vibes anymore. I think they did a collab, Pirate of Caribbean collab, not too long ago as well. No, it's fun. I'm waiting, like a lot of people, for them to do a collab with the One Piece. That would be cool.
And now, I when this came out, I was like, this looks interesting. Maybe I'll get it with my brothers. And then I heard about the PvP, and I'm like, nope, this is a griefer game that's going to destroy your 1 hour of gaming progress a day. I'm like, nope, can't do it.
It's fun. Even if you think, at least you had fun.
No, that is not cool. That's a waste of freaking game time. No, I will never touch a game that rewards people to destroy your stuff after you spend an hour doing it. No, it's
Something you would hate then. You have different type of treasure chest. One really make me laugh. It's a treasure chest which cries. So if you put it on your cargo hold, it actually sink your boat because it cries so much it fills the cargo with water. And when you realize, oh Jesus, there's water coming out on the bridge, that's finished. Your boat sink.
that's fun, right?
It's really yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's really fun. They have some nice little. I tell you, it's a game with soul, really.
Yeah, it sounds good, and it's definitely just meant for a certain kind of person, I think. All right, sir. Second story.
All right. So for my second story, SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, and AFTRA. I'm not sure what that stands for. I'm sorry, Screen Actors Guild, but they recently came into a deal with in-game company. What are they called? They are called. Shoot, I'm missing my notes. No. With Replica Studios to work on AI. So basically, what they did is they came up with a deal, and it says that if a certain actor comes along and feels that they would like to license their voice, they can license their voice with Replica Studios, and then Replica Studios will take some samples and use their voice, and then that voice can be used for basically whatever they want, like gaming and stuff like that. So it can be used in video games to create content, to create, I believe what they call it, I don't remember what they call it, but pre-content, where they're basically saying, okay, we'll have this voice in, we'll get a real voice actor to fill it in later. But for now, we just need to fill in just a placeholder voice. They can use it for that. They can use it for content in the game. They can use it for interactive content if they want an AI that's generating new things and things like that. And it does have a lot of people who are worried. So apparently, a lot of people in the Screen Actors Guild were not aware that this deal was being made, and now are upset that it has been made, because the SAG said, we got relevant people who are relevant to this space, and we got their approval, and they all agreed. But apparently a lot of SAG people are coming out and saying, I've never heard of this deal, I had no idea this was going on, this is completely against what we were protesting. And now they went off and made a deal. So that is just something to be aware of and to look out for. And yeah, and again, this is like we were saying before with the whole game streaming thing. It's one of those things that is probably actually inevitable. So yeah, we might have to get used to it, but it's here. So that's the news.
Yeah, I saw some games with AI voice. At this time, the voice actors have nothing to fear. Because a game with a real voice actor and a game with a AI voice, completely different. AI voice is terrible this time. I'm sure it's gonna get better, especially if you start to license your voice to have the AI say some lines with your voice. I guess gonna get better, but a bit dangerous for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on the person, right? You guys are like, I always say, big brain people, and you guys really focus on the details. For me, I don't care how somebody sounds in a game. It's just click, shoot.
No,
It doesn't.
really AI voice, it really ruin your immersion. Really, I thought I didn't care. I really thought I didn't care, and then I saw a game which was really cool. It was a punching game, like a bit like Punch Out or something like this, and really with AI, it was horrendous. Really, the game was cool, but the voice is really taking you out of the game. Huh? Really.
But see, that's my point. Is you are not the average person. The average person, it doesn't change the matter for them. It's like somebody watching 700 episodes of CSI in a row in a year, right? The average person, no problem. But of course, the big brain people, you guys would get bored after a certain number of episodes. I can watch 750 episodes of CSI, no problem, every single day, 3 times a day, and it wouldn't matter, wouldn't phase me because it doesn't bother me, right? But that's what I'm saying is I think the average person is not going to care about AI in games as long as they're having fun, as long as they're shooting or farming or collecting cards or something like that. AI art, AI voices, it's just, yeah, it's if it works.
And like any technology, it's just going to get better.
Yes.
Yes. And I saw
Yeah.
this story. Did you guys see the George Carlin story?
Where they took like an AI George Carlin and had it making jokes based on the kind of jokes he had made in the past. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not American, and not like I'm American, but I lived in America, and George Carlin is a super famous comedian. He passed away, I don't know how many years ago, but he had 13 very famous George Carlin specials. Again, you could think about Kevin Hart's comedy specials, equivalent things. And his last special was really dark and terrible. And again, because he was dying and he knew he was dying at that point, right? But again, the 14th one, which is the fake AI one, was done. And again, at the beginning of the special, it says, by the way, this is not the real George Carlin, it was done by AI. But it's the people who listened to it and who watched it, who enjoyed it, were like, oh my God, this is actually just like George Carlin. It sounds amazing. It's funny, very enjoyable. But of course, the people were like, oh my God, this is AI. It's terrible. And of course, his daughter came out and said, I don't agree with this. If you want to support comedians, you got to listen to a real comedian, not remake old comedians. But I think Like Antoine makes a good point as well when it comes to AI, that it's definitely a divisive technology.
Yeah, is it Phantom Liberty, the DLC for 2077? Yeah, the Ripper Doc, who's friends of Victor. The voice actor apparently died between the development of the original 2077 and Phantom Liberty, so he wasn't around, but they wanted to add voice lines for his character. So what they actually did is they got permission from his family. So they did go to his family. They got permission from his family, and they said, "Hey, we want to add lines to this character, but we want to make sure that we do it with your approval. We're going to have to use AI. It's the only way to do it. Otherwise, we'd have to get somebody imitating his voice." And they said, "Okay, that's fine." And they gave it, because it's just this one project. It's just this one thing. It's just a couple lines. He loved to do in this game. Let's do it. And what they ultimately ended up doing is they didn't use AI to generate the voice. They had another person doing the lines, and then they had the AI augment that voice to sound like the original voice actor. So they're using AI to augment a regular person's voice. It wasn't straight up AI doing everything. But yeah, Newell Cooper says here, there's a saying: if a flower is fake but it's beautiful to you, does it matter if it's fake? And that's the thing here. We say, like, it's a real. I understand the idea from these voice actors when they're saying, like, you have these big name voice actors and they're like, "Hey, we're losing money on this. This AI is taking our jobs," that sort of thing. But at the same time, like, for instance, the president's AI thing, that's hilarious, I feel, on the internet, where they have the president speaking it with AI. I think that's hilarious. I think it's great. I think it's creative in a way, in its own way. You get to a point where it's okay. If you want to say this is not okay because it's AI, what if I used impressionists, and those it's people, but they're doing impressions of other real people, but you can't really tell the difference, because if it's a good person doing an impression, and it's, oh, then that actor is still losing their work. Granted, that money's going to another person, but it's still hurting the actor, because you're having somebody else that's taking their likeness and imitating it and that sort of thing. And I do think it gets a little fuzzy at a certain point. But again, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So we're going to have to get used to it.
Yeah, but I can imagine in the future National Geographic or stuff like this by AI, Morgan Freeman or David Attenborough. I can't watch like Earth, but not narrated by David Attenborough. So AI would be cool on that case.
Yeah, and that's
Probably
one
like
of the things that they
90
did say,
something.
is that this deal is all about licensing. So the actors have a choice, and they have the option to license their voice. So they can say, and then they said, because AI obviously draws from samples. You need a sample size. And so, yeah, this really is about, the actor can come in and they can say, okay, I want to provide you these specific samples. You can't go back and go to my old movies and that sort of thing and use those as samples. I'm going to come in, I'm going to do sampling right now. And from those samples, you can use those as a training model. And I'm giving you approval for that. So there is a little more, I think, control on the side of the actor. And I think that's why they were going with it this. But yeah, so that's the idea, is that this is a safer legal way to do it.
Antoine, has there been any talk in Cisco about like replacing sales with AI?
No, but AI is the massive trend in technology right now. We're putting AI in our portal to gather analytics about why there was downtime here and there, what's the cause, what's the solution, and we're using AI in our solution to make life easier and to make them perform better. AI sales, I'm waiting for the days that an AI will do my job, to be honest. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But to get better technologies, and I'm talking about Cisco, but they're all doing this. All over the technology sector, AI is the big stuff that you can't miss. If you miss this bandwagon, you're out, in 5 years you're out. There's no choice. Yeah,
All right.
whether you like it or not.
Continuing the topic of AI, my story today is somewhat related to gaming, but it's like a very broad topic. If you're an iPhone user, right, the latest iOS update launched something called an app called Journal. And what makes Journal really cool is, so Journal is, you can see it over there. It has a little butterfly icon. It says Journal. But the cool thing about this app, there is like a journal, is that many people are like, okay, Google has Bard, Microsoft has OpenAI and Bing and ChatGPT. Apple has been building AI in the background apparently, and it's called Delphi, something like that. I think I saw a headline, something along those lines, right? And it's not commercial, but it's in their products. And I guess that's their thing, is they're going to incorporate AI into our phones, our MacBooks, our iPads, without us knowing, maybe, or just in the background. Right? So what Journal does is I'll go into the gaming use case first. Is let's say you're playing a game like I play Marvel Snap every day, 7 days a week, 2 to 3 times a day for a few minutes a day, right? And Journal knows that I played Marvel Snap. And if I want to write an entry as, hey, you played Marvel Snap today and you won 3 games and lost 2 games. Would you want to write about that? And I'm like, oh, okay, that's a cool idea. That sounds really weird. Like, why would you want to journal about a game you play? But especially for a card building game, sometimes you have deck ideas, right? Like I was on the weekend and I was just got back from cycling and suddenly I was like brushing my teeth. I'm like, oh yeah, if I build a deck with these cards, this could be a good idea. And yeah, I whipped out my phone. I'm like, yeah, so Marvel Snap, and I made a deck idea. Or Steam has this functionality. We talked about it in one of our older videos where they did an update where now you can have notes for every game, right? And this is the same idea. But as a broader aspect, right? The broad idea is if you allowed access, right? Your iPhone will say, oh, Adam, today you went to Costco and bought a pumpkin pie. Do you want to write about your experiences today, about how much you miss America and Halloween and pumpkin pie? Adam says, no, of course not. But
Why would I want to talk about that?
I don't know. I don't know. But I think it's a really cool functionality. Google had this thing where they would send you like an email every month. Like, yeah, and this month you did how many miles on your bike, how often you walked, and where did you go, and what's your favorite places and stuff. And I think it's another cool thing to, and again, journaling is also really good for mental health. And you guys would know that I have anxiety since the last 5 or 6 years. So it helps me calm down as well. And maybe if that's something you have, something for you to consider. But yeah, a really cool app. I don't use it as often as I would like, but it does send you notifications like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you write an entry today? And if there's like absolutely nothing happened to you because you were in front of your computer all day working or playing games, but like, hey, this is the topic. Why don't you write an entry about it? So it's pretty nice. I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty looking forward to seeing how Apple implements AI with more apps like this, and we'll see how it goes. Alrighty, moving back to Antoine for the last story of today.
All right. Not very original, to be honest, but I wanted to talk about the game I've been playing for the past 2 weeks, and which for me is the game of the month. That's quite easy because that's the only game I played, but to be honest, it really deserves the title. It's Against the Gathering Storms. No, that's not Civilization 6 now. Against the Storm. Against the Storm is a city builder gameplay with roguelike replayability. You might not like this, but listen to it because I was very skeptical at first, right? So you're in a world which is plagued by something called the Blight Storm. And when the Blight Storm hits, it wipes everything. You only have one city, City of the Queen, the royal city, which can resist it. And you are what's called a viceroy, so it's the equivalent of a scout who leads a caravan. And you have X amount of years before the Blight Storm strikes again. So at first, when you start, you only have maybe 15 years. And you have to get out, set up a colony, gather as many resources as you can, and once you have acquired enough reputation, you win the game. At the same time, your queen gets impatient, and if you are too slow, then her impatience bar fills up, and if it fills up until the end, you lose the game. But losing a city doesn't mean that your game is lost. You just lost a city. That's fine. It's just a colony which didn't set up. You can just set up another colony, right? And the point is to gather resources. With these resources, which are mainly food, mechanics, and something else, you can unlock, like an RPG, you can unlock some bonuses, right? Every time you unlock one specific building, the queen impatience is lowered by 2%, or you can start with more resources, or you can start with more people, or your global production increased by 2%. And you have 15 different levels. So it's a grindy game. It's a lot of grinding because each cycle before Blightstorm hit, it's about 4 to 5 cities. So you have to redo the game 5 or 6 times. And when the storm hits, everything you built gone. And you have to restart. And you have to restart. So you have to grind up to get better and better. And you have some seals. Basically, they are sealing some demons which maybe are the cause of the Blight Storm. And the best is to go there, close the seal again, which is not easy, really not. I lost my first game on this. And once you close the seal of a certain grade, it gives you more time before the blight storm hit. With a bronze seal, you get 8 years more. With a silver seal, you gain 16 years more, etc., etc. And that allows you to make your caravan longer and longer and gather more resource. And what makes it, you could think, yes, so that means that right now I did what, 5 cycles? That means you made 25 towns which were wiped out after? Yes. But what makes it enjoyable to replay is that for each level you win, you get more buildings. And there's hundreds, thousand, maybe hundred of blueprint of different buildings, and each building give you 3 different resources. So you have basic resource, you collect vegetable, you make flour. With another building you can make bread or biscuit, and then you create a bakery. And there's a lot of different paths, and a lot of building get the same resources. So it's very much, you have to get in your head what path you want to take. You want to take the path which fills the needs of religion for your workers, or fills enough entertainment or things like this. You can't do everything at once. If you do everything at once, it's a sure way to die, because you just won't have time. And I'm just scrapping the basics. The game is extremely complete, and it would take me an hour to talk about it, so I'm gonna stop with this. I hope it's a nice little teaser, but I really advise you to just go on Steam, watch the trailer. Yes, at first it's scary because you don't want to create city just to get it wiped out. But I promise you, it's good. And it's not because, and you can take your time. You do whatever you want. If you want to go and try to seal or to fix a seal, you can. If you don't want and just stay around your base and create a lot of cities just to gather some resource, you can as well. And if you want to go and do the harder missions later because you unlock enough bonus to feel comfortable about it, you can. You decide to do whatever you want, which is very nice and relaxing with this. But it's grindy. You will spend a lot of time on it. But it's pretty cool. Each time I do 1 or 2 village each night, and I feel good before I go to bed. So yeah, I advise you the game Against the Storm, free on Game Pass, which is always nice, of course. And you can find it on Steam, I'm sure.
We're really
PC
going to talk
game.
about Game Pass to get a sponsorship.
Oh yeah, I could talk about Game Pass a lot.
Plenty of
Microsoft,
games
come
on it.
on!
Adam, I'm pretty familiar with this. Do you have any thoughts or questions?
No, I've never heard about this. So this is, so you say it's a year. How long is a year in game time?
Each village I do, if you depends on the level of difficulty, of course, but on the easiest difficulty, a village take in average 5 years. If you play settler, after pioneer takes more time. It's a bit harder because it takes more reputation to win a village. So it takes 7 to 8 years. So if you do 4 times 5, 20 years, that's basically what happened in your first cycles.
I mean,
Yeah, it's about this.
yeah, but okay, this is an RTS, right? So like on an average, a year is like an hour of play or like 30 minutes of play. How long would a year be? Like how long do you expect
Uh,
each cycle of game time to be?
I'd say give or take half an hour, because I'm doing maybe an hour and a half, or maybe less, because one village for me is about an hour and a half, and I usually finish in year 7.
It's
This is a
interesting, yeah.
game. When it came out, I was like, it was on all the podcasts last year or whenever it came out, and I remember listening to it while I was riding my bike. I'm like, oh, this sounds awesome, but I never really delved into it, so it was nice for Anton to explain it today. And it is actually on my Steam wishlist because I remember the last week or 2 weeks ago when Anton talked about it a little bit, I did look it up. I'm like, okay, I'm going to add this to my Steam wishlist, and it's already on there. I have not I've struggled getting back into an RTS. I played Age of Empires 4. That was really fun. But then I played it with a friend of mine who was like, let's play multiplayer and play against real people. And we just died and died.
No.
And he's like, Reed, you should do this and hurry up. You should be faster. I'm like, oh, God. This is why I don't play multiplayer games with people anymore. But no, this sounds fun. And hopefully I'll get a chance to play it.
And what last thing, that just to show you how full of, again, soul and characters this game is, the difficulties are different. It's not I put in harder difficulties, therefore I just need 3 times as much as resource. Now here, it's, if you want to go in harder difficulty, it adds another mechanic of gameplay. If you don't want to bother, then blight and corruption does not exist. It only exists in the higher tier of game. And that means that some of your buildings work with pipe and water. You have machinery into it, but the water is corrupted and it grows some plants on your building, and if you don't destroy them on a particular season, it corrupts your village and kill everyone. It's honestly tough with blatant corruption. You need to really know your gameplay. So it's really a die and retry. This game is a die and retry roguelite. I'm not kidding about it, but it's really interesting.
All right. And on that note, Adam, final story for today is
Okay, I'm going to be talking about the Twitch recent thing that came out. With the Twitch news, the guy said that Twitch is not profitable. So this is recently after firing, what was it, 500 employees, I believe. And the
5%
CEO came out.
of
He's
the Twitch workforce.
percent.
35%.
Okay, so 35% of the Twitch workforce, yeah, roughly 500 people, were lost their jobs. And then he came out and he said, yeah, this is not a profitable model. And this does have some people worried about the future of Twitch. Can it even survive? Are we going to have to start switching to things like Kick or those? And how will those survive if Twitch can't survive? And this right on the heels of Elon Musk saying that he's going to create a Twitch competitor on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I was talking to Korean about it a little bit during my stream yesterday, and he was talking about the worries of some streamers with if Twitch is not profitable, what are the odds of them continuing to offer these partnerships with streamers? It's like if they can't pay their own employees, how are they going to pay streamers? Was this okay? Or you're okay with that, or what? What is that symbol there?
As this is zero chance, there's no more
Yeah.
long-term or Twitch streamer contracts. As of the CEO did a live stream a week or 2 weeks ago. He has no more contracts with Twitch streamers ever.
Yeah. So it's over. Yeah. Please send money. No, we weren't making any money off of this anyway. But yeah, so if you were the kind of person who was looking forward to a career on Twitch, or if you have kids who are dreaming big about being the next big Twitch sensation and becoming a rich influencer and all that, might need to start looking elsewhere to brush up on that resume. So yeah, just keep your eyes out, and we'll see what happens to Twitch. If Twitch does go down, we'll have to figure out something else. I'm sure we'll still be on YouTube. I don't think Google's worried about money. But let's hope that they're not the only ones out there, because if it gets to that point, ooh, that's going to be scary.
And Musk want to do a competitor on X. I thought X was not profitable and had to fire people. And they want to embark in in something which is not profitable and they know about it.
Yeah,
Sounds
so
like a
a lot
great
of these
plan,
tech
Elon.
startups are not profitable for a long time. And then the idea is, oh, we're going to get profitable someday. And a lot of them don't. And yeah, I don't know where this money comes from. I guess they just have really rich backers who are just basically gambling on it. And they're like, hey, when it works out, I make a ton of money. If you guys have ever seen Silicon Valley, there's a character on there, and that's all he does is just back companies. And at one point, he was talking about how he had backed something like 100 or I don't know, several dozens of cryptocurrencies. I think maybe it was 40 or something, but he just backed all these cryptocurrencies, and out of all of them, they all failed with the exception of one. But that one that succeeded made so much money, it made up for the investment of all the other ones that failed. So if you're rich and you can stand to lose that money, it's just a numbers game, and eventually you'll win. But if you're not one of those big guys and you gotta pick your bets, not looking good.
Yeah, no, it's talking about it. So I will say that while Twitch doesn't offer contracts anymore, there's still loads of ways for you to make money. If you're creating a community around Adam and Adam's live streams every day for Persona, I played Persona for 365 days of the year, and that's what Adam did, right? And that's the thing, and people love Persona. They watch Adam stream Persona for 6 hours every day, 365, right? That's the thing, right? And people would give Adam money, and he'd build up a community, and there'd be pictures of Adam with tired eyes after playing Persona for 1,275 hours, and that would be a T-shirt that sells really well, and we give that money to Adam, and then he becomes a full-time Twitch streamer. And again, so contracts are just for the biggest people like Disguised Toast, like Pokimane, lots of these famous Twitch streamers. Antoine mentions a few like very famous French Twitch streamers as well, occasionally on the podcast. So yeah, it's interesting. I had always assumed Twitch was a profitable company. So to hear that Twitch has literally never made money ever in its existence or never been profitable was like, oh my God. But then it goes back to what we said before, right? Like they analyzed social media last year, and that live streaming is not a popular category as much as YouTube and Facebook and Twitch would like to make us think, right? It's actually people watching short form video, watching long form video is more popular than people watching live streams. And I've talked about this. I know Antoine watches live streams, and Adam and I talked about this. Like, I never watch live streams ever, just because it's always at an odd time. And if I want to watch a live stream here, it will usually be in Chinese, and it's not. It's just I'd rather watch something that gives me a message, or something that finishes in 15 or 20 or 60 seconds, than watching someone in the background and listening to them amble on about something. But it's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how, if there's a model that can make this work. I think what the model is going to be Twitch streamers or people who stream will have to pay like a monthly subscription to stream on Twitch. That's my guess, because that's like the only way you can get that annually recurring revenue. Or people will have to be like, if you want to watch your favorite streamer, you have to pay $5 a month or something like that. That's the only way maybe they do that going forward. Yeah, so we'll see.
They're gonna lose a lot of people because the amount of under 18 watching their favorite streamers, they will have to ask their parents to subscribe for them. They're gonna lose a lot of people.
Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's similar to the YouTube video you sent us just the other day about how YouTube is no longer as profitable as it was, and the amount of work to the amount of payout you get is starting to really grind on several content creators.
Yeah, no, it's if and again, this is something I was talking to Adam about, and Antoine is doing Instagram daily, so you guys can see with us and our 3 full-time jobs, and Antoine, his 2 full-time jobs, full-time dad. Oh no, 3 full-time husband, full-time dad, and full-time Cisco employee, and he still makes time to record a podcast and write a script and give suggestions for videos and make points out and check out stats on the channel. And Adam still makes time to edit videos and cut up shorts. And I just sent an Instagram screenshot, and all of Adam's freaking Apex Legends shorts have taken off on Instagram. And it totally surprises me, but that's the learning curve that there is. But it's such a difficult thing, and I understand why people get burned out about it, because it requires a lot of work. If this was just me, I wouldn't do it. It's just me at my current job, and I dislike that a lot because it's way too much work for one person. I really need like an Ed and an Anton at my current job in order to do. And I'm just doing YouTube in my current job, and just YouTube, but it's 3 channels is not. It's not cool, not fun, and way too stressful. I think I'm gonna skip my third story for today, guys. Final thoughts for today.
No, not much thought. I was sick last week, so that's why I speak way too much. I'm sorry about this week.
No worries. So Antoine, you still gonna be playing Before the Storm?
Yeah, Before the Storm for a while, and until I get something which really interests me. But again, I was talking about Space Marine 2, which is what, September, October. Until then, I saw there's some remaster of Suikoden, which looks really cool, because Suikoden is a game of my childhood, and I would love to play it. But I said that about Advance Wars Reboot Camp, and I never get to play it. And I got for Christmas, I got the Xenoblade Chronicle on Switch, which I really wanted to play, and I need to start doing it. I'm very much into back gaming these days. And also, I was talking about which one we talked about, Dragon Age.
Dragon's
The game of the
Dogma.
year, was it? No, Dogma I finished. Was it Dragon Age Inquisition, which was game of the year?
Oh, Dragon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one I want to do because it's on the Game Pass, so it's free. No, I'm fine for a while. Don't worry about me. Clearly.
And Adam, monster menu for the next month or 2 months?
I'll probably finish it before that. Hopefully, I'll finish it before that. But yeah, Monster Menu until that's done, and then I'll probably just be goofing off and maybe Final Fantasy 14, or I don't know. Maybe I'll break out Besieged again and just develop random stuff until Final Fantasy 7 Remake comes out, or Rebirth comes out, and when that comes out, that'll definitely be taking up all my time.
Adam, did you capture Apex video when you play with your friends?
Only once. I only did it once, and that was specifically for when we were talking about what kind of improvements would we like to see. So I captured it so I could have like footage of the thank you button. So I have it, and then I just got lazy and didn't end up cutting it. Yeah,
That was just a
that's the
curious
only time I've
question.
ever caught Apex footage. Yeah. Oh
All right,
wait,
with
and
that,
for this last
yeah,
one, for
I
that
forgot.
short, I had to go through. I was like, I need a picture of the Buster Sword, so I'd log in, take a photo, send it to my phone, use the phone. So I did it that time, but yeah, those are the only 2 times.
Nice. Yeah, there's some interesting trends on our channel. We'll talk about that in another video. All right. Thank you guys, as always, for waking up in the morning, Adam, and for Antoine for still being awake and in your leisure time. And then hope you guys have a wonderful week. Hope you guys enjoyed the game that you're playing. And if you're not, find some new games. There's so many choices available online. And then we will see you guys same time next week, morning or evening, wherever you are. More games, more news, and more stories. Take care.
Yeah.